Welcome to the Professor of Perseverance podcast. I am the Professor of Perseverance, aka Dr. James Purdue. Don't let the doctor go too far with you because I can't write out prescriptions, but I can drive you down to the store and help pick yours up for you, though. Today's guest on the Professor of Perseverance podcast, and again, thank you for coming here. Thank you for blessing me for coming and listening. And today, our guest, the word that best describes him is original. His story is unlike any other as he speaks from experience. He was an All-American athlete. Hey, when I say the word athlete, that just jumps to me automatically with me being an athlete. He was an All-American athlete at the University of Texas and successively had careers with two Fortune 500 companies. And then, wouldn't you know, when life is coming smooth into your life, the bottom fell out of life for him. During a 5-year period, his mother died, his best friend died, he spent 3 days in cardiac intensive care, he was a passenger in a plane that lost power and dropped 16,000 feet over the Rocky Mountains. Whoa, can you imagine being on that one thinking the plane's coming down? He was downsized from an executive position at the age of 42, and finally, moving, his family lost all their possessions in a bizarre moving van fire. His possessions in the van burn up. Wow. To be kicked in the teeth is one thing, but then to turn around and get kicked in the gums, wow, when you don't have teeth to help protect. That's when he decided things needed to change. He recovered from the adversity to publish 15, yes, I said 15 best-selling books, is a national recognized professional speaker whose high-energy presentations on leadership, team building, personal performance, and life balance continue to touch people's hearts and challenge mine. His passion is helping other people with peace and prosperity. Whoa, that's enough. I'm ready to take a nap. Hey, but can't do that. Welcome to the Professor of Perseverance podcast, Byrd Baggett.
Hey, James. Good morning.
Oh, Byrd, thank you for coming in. This is going to
Who
be
was that person you introduced? I don't know him.
There's another story I can tell you that I was receiving an award one time, and I didn't know I was receiving it. Usually rare. I guess rarely you're going to. But I remember I was graduating to get this award, and we had the breakfast before we graduated the next day, and I had my mom. I invited her to come with me, and they're going on and on about this one person. And I leaned over to my mom and said, man, I'd like to meet that person. And then they announced my name.
That's your humility speaking, James, which I admire.
And it was named after the president of the university at the junior college of Ball State. The president, and it was Dr. Raymer, and he gave out his awards for perseverance. People that overcome adversity that graduated through. So so it's funny. When you say, who's that person? Reading your stuff as well. So,
Thank you.
Byrd, isn't it surprising? It is to me that for a 5-year stint, I mean, you were really challenged. Isn't it? I don't know if it's amazing or just don't understand. Sometimes we're the modern day Job, we feel like, when it's going on. But then you hear about all these drug dealers sitting in multi-million-dollar mansions, and the only thing they got to worry about is if the cops come knocking on their door. I mean, they seem like they're cruising in style, and then here we are suffering day to day. I just don't understand that sometimes. So, all right, Bert, let's go ahead and take a peek, and if you can go ahead and go through that 5-year stint and how you got through it.
Yeah, James, thank you. We're all humans, and it's a natural part of human existence to think about quitting. I mean, that's just a natural. I know your story, and I know others, and I ever think I have had challenges. I just think about, Mother Teresa, think about Martin Luther King Jr. I mean, Nelson Mandela. You just think of those people that persevered. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, you read the introduction. By the way, a little humor, when we lost everything in that moving van fire, I told my wife, I said, that's the easiest move we ever made.
That's right.
But, again, it's natural to think about quitting, but too many people quit before the blessing. And I almost did. It's not in the introduction because I don't share it a whole lot, but when I was asked to resign from that quote comfortable executive job, I stuck a shotgun in my mouth, and I was real close to pulling the trigger because my identity was my job, and boy, that's fragile. If your self-worth is determined by anything external, I mean, you're one situation away from things not being good, and a lot of people ask me, and when I talk about that near suicide attempt, they say, why didn't you pull the trigger? I said, it was my wife's faith. My wife, Jeannie, her faith has been the richest blessing in my life. And back then, my faith was in me. I was in the season of self. And boy, in the season of self, that's you got the worst disease then. That's loneliness. When what you think is you is taken away. So that's really when my journey started. And it didn't. It didn't change overnight, James, because, I'm a recovering perfectionist now. Back then it was like, okay, I'll get up and I'll write these books, all these stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-success, but, I'm known for quotes and acronyms. And people ask me, what's your favorite quote? And it's this, and it'll always be this. Success at the expense of faith and family is really failure. And, in that near plane crash, I got to tell that story because a lot of people ask, and you like you said, wow. And make a long story short, I was returning from a job interview in California. And it was ironic because I had told this company no 5 times, but they kept upping the ante, money, right? And so I finally succumbed to their invitation. They met me in a limo, and man, they wined and dined me. And I'm a blue collar guy in a white collar world. That just, man, I was impressed because I thought I was something. And I had a great job then. And so the flight back. And by the way, when I was there, I knew I shouldn't accept the job, but I did because they appealed to my ego, James. And I accepted the job. And boy, when I got on that plane to return, we were living in Kansas City at the time. I knew I'd made a mistake, but I'd made a commitment and got on that plane. That's back before the new airport in Denver, the old Stapleton Airport. And we were at 28,000 feet and the engines went out. And, you don't drop like a rock. You float for a while. And I'll never forget the flight attendant said, made an announcement, prepare for an emergency landing in the mountains. We were dropped, 28 minus 16,000. We were 12,000 feet, James. We were in between mountain peaks that were 14,000 feet high. And back then, my version of prayer was, God, let me make this to have this. And, first time in my life, I was out of control. And I'll never forget, there were men sitting to the side of me, either side, and I was holding their hands, and I leaned down and I said the first unselfish prayer of my life, and these are the words. I said, Lord, please let me live to see the birth of my baby. My wife was due with our second child 2 months later. And James, within a millisecond, the engine started back. And to this day, and the pilot pulled that out of the mountains, landed on a foam runway. All the reporters were there. And to this day, the experts don't know how those engines restarted. Well, you know who restarted them, the big guy in the sky. And the guy's name's God. But that's when my journey, that's when I realized I wasn't in control. But, changing who you are and, because you mentioned I had been, quote, successful. What is success? That's relative. And that's why I focus on significance. So it's my faith that got me through it. My true friends love you for who you are. Acquaintances like you for what you have or what you can do for them. And by the way, I learned a lesson in that regard. I used to say, man, I got all these friends. Well, guess what? Call somebody up and ask them for money. You'll find out who your friends are. And, I consider you a dear friend. We met and you've become my brother from another mother. And and your story, and so it's so inspirational to me. And you got my big buddy there in that room with you, Ricardo, your dog, and I love Ricardo. He looks a whole lot better than you and I.
There you go.
But James, that's just again, it's human nature to think about quitting, but don't quit before the blessing. And we've had other challenges. You've had them. Well, everybody that's listening to this has had challenges, and we've had addiction twice in our family. My wife's beat cancer. My oldest daughter's beat cancer. Our son is gay and what he's had to deal with in his life. But you're going to get knocked down, but you got to get up. And that's it.
Yeah, what's the best Stallone say? It doesn't matter the times you get knocked down, just get up at one more time. And but yeah, it's I'm like you. I'm like you at the beginning. I would say prayers. It's going to benefit me. We're negotiating. God, get me through this situation, and I'll take care. Do what I'm supposed to. And we know it's not a negotiation, but that's when I got injured. Here's how much confidence I had in myself when I first got paralyzed. I told God, I remember this prayer. I said, well, God, if I'm the last person on earth that ever get paralyzed, I'll accept that fate. And I'm good. Yeah, like I'm going to be the last one. Hey,
James, doesn't the good Lord have a sense of humor?
Oh yeah. And,
he listens to us, and it's like, come on, big boy, what's important? Who do you think you are, right?
Yeah. I'm the saving one. You're not saving the day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Thank you for being sacrificing yourself for everybody. You'll be the last person.
Man.
So
the only one that was ever perfect hung on two pieces of wood, so you and I wouldn't have to be, right?
Oh, exactly. That's right. So, but I like this. I heard that you told me that before. Is don't give up before the blessings. I've heard other people say that do try to help other people, and people will go, "Oh no, I can't. I can't accept that." And they're trying to help people, and then
that's well said. And what's interesting? I used to, if somebody wanted to do something for me, I didn't want it because I thought that was weakness. It's a strength to let other people help you. So, amen. Because that give them the opportunity, help their self-esteem. And I believe, James, you and I have talked. I've been a speaker and a writer and author, and that's how we met in the National Speakers Association. I'm a certified speaking professional, but there's the two most important responsibilities of a leader, and we're all leaders. Here they are. And there are more. This is what I've learned in my 70 years on life. Number one is to define reality. That's the truth. And number two is to keep hope alive. I heard this years ago, and it really, really, really spoke to me. You can live 40 days without food, 4 days without water, but only 4 seconds without hope.
That is
that. Because you've told me there was a time of your life where you wanted to pull the plug, you wanted to pull the trigger. But man, when you do that, and again, I don't judge any. And let me back up. A lot of people say, well, if you commit suicide, you're weak and you're going to hell. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all.
I don't believe that.
Because sometimes the pain of dying is better than the pain of living.
Yeah.
So,
I don't believe that.
Yeah, and my purpose is to live a life that inspires hope in others, and that's why I'm on this broadcast with you. That's what you do, and in your humility, James, your sense of humor. You're a true CEO. You're a chief entertainment officer, and but your story, and we all have a story, and I'm very vulnerable. So are you, and a lot of men. They have PMS, power, money, and success. That they don't want to be. They don't want to be vulnerable, but our vulnerability is what connects us with people.
Yes, I remember. One time somebody was trying to help me with something, and I was going like you. No, I don't want to. No, I don't want to. And then here's their comment. This is when I learned when someone wants to help, you let them help.
Amen.
Here's what they said to me: "Don't take my blessing away from me."
Wow.
They were wanting to do something for me, and I'm going, "No, I'm all right. I can deal with it. Don't take my blessing away," is what
That's
they
good.
said.
And James, to tie into that, that's powerful. You and I have the same philosophy. Sometimes in life, we don't appreciate what we have until we no longer have it. And to take their blessing away from them is that's ego.
Yes. So yeah. Oh yeah. Again. So I'm a firm believer. Yes, we never know what we've lost out on until we do lose it. So
Yes,
hey, we
sir.
got a buddy that done come in, John Bentley.
Hey, John Bentley.
So coming in. Thank you for coming in, John. Thank you for your encouragement for us. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, John, a bunch.
So, all right, now let's say that you finally in that plane disaster that wasn't a fully permanent disaster, thankfully, but you finally open up to a prayer that was unselfish. And did that lead to other things in your life to help make a change?
Yeah, and obviously, and again, it didn't happen overnight. I had people listen and say, "Oh, you had this." It wasn't a born again situation. It wasn't, it wasn't totally transformational, but it got my attention. I realized I wasn't in control, but I was still young, and it's so. But as life went on, see, today I don't believe in coincidence, James. I believe coincidences are just God's way of remaining anonymous. And we don't have time, but if anybody ever wanted to reach out to me, there were so many, quote, coincidences in my life. Again, that's just God's way of remaining anonymous that reinforced who was in control of my life. And and as I grew and matured and had more adversity, again, I told you about the addiction in our family. And my mom died, that 5 period, in life, that 5 years you talked about. My mother died. My best friend died when he was 40. And so the real key was when I realized it wasn't about me. And here's what I'll share with people. What I have found out in my life, the most fulfilling purpose is being a part of something greater than self. When I get up every morning, I just said, Lord, give me an opportunity to keep hope alive for somebody. And because there's somebody out there, maybe listening to us, but we know there are thousands of people, if not hundreds of thousands of people in our country today with this COVID-19 situation, that they've lost hope. They've lost their jobs. Gosh, and when you can't provide for your family, there's no greater pain. And, the Bible says something that when I read it, James, I said, this sounds good for you, but man, that's okay, God, I don't need it. But here's the sequence of life. You've lived through it. People that are listening or watching this have lived through it. Here's the sequence of life, and you can't shortcut it. Suffering, we're all going to suffer. So when we suffer, we have two choices. We quit, go down, or do we persevere? Second one is perseverance, right? You're going to suffer, persevere. And then through suffering and perseverance, our character is developed. And then suffering, perseverance, character, the end product is hope. And I'm known for quotes and acronyms, but mine, and I say my quote, the good Lord inspires me, James. You know that, but I got to tell people. But the acronym for hope is hanging on to positive expectations. And too many people, I did it, they let the pain of the past keep them from the promises of the future. In your situation, I know you and I've talked, man, it's like, why did I play that last play? Why did I get off the field? God, if you love me, why did you let me pay that? All this complaining crap, right? And the past doesn't have a future, but you do. And here's a philosophy of mine, and it's a quote, but this has really helped a lot of people. Look at life through the windshield, not the rear view mirror. And again, we got to learn from the past, because if we keep the same behaviors, we're not going to change. So, see, like talking with you inspires me, because I know your story, and I really feel sorry for men that have, and we have a lot of them out there today, because I used to have a dose of it. PGA has nothing to do with golf. Power, greed, and arrogance. Power is I want to control. Greed, I want it all. And arrogance is I know it all. And James, I was stuck in I had PGA. And I can smell an ego from a mile away, because mine used to really stink.
Oh, yes.
And to me, the greatest virtue of the most authentic and effective leaders is humility. And you know, the word humility comes from the Greek word humus, that means dirt. Isn't that beautiful? So,
yeah.
You know, sometimes we need our dirt tilled so that water can, which is the water of life, can get down to our roots to help us grow. So humility and loving other people. It's what I've always respected about you. You're always, and you've had, man, if people listening to this, if you think you got problems, Dr. James Perdue, my buddy, gosh, he has a monthly, if not weekly, but he's always in good spirits. He'll tell me what's going on, then he'll kind of like flush it and move on. Let's talk about life.
That's right. No need crying over the spilled milk. It's already down there for the cat to drink and get full. So it's one less thing to have to feed.
Well, you remember you've heard my mom used to say. You know, my mother had a heart attack when she was 42.
Oh, yes.
A doctor, MD, told my mom, you know, she'd be lucky to live a year. My mother got right in his face. She fired him. Said, God, now have a different plan. Fired that doctor. She lived 15 years.
Wow.
But when I'd complain, you've heard this, my mother would look me right in the eye and says, son, flush it and move on.
That's right. That's right. So, hey, my acronym for HOPE is Hope Opens Positive Energy.
I love it.
So, and my little quick story on hope is I had attempted suicide 3 times in 3 days. That's how bad I wanted out. And while I was in the hospital, a letter came to my house, and my brother and mom brought it to me. I opened it up, and this is where I had applied to get a service dog. Ricardo was the one on the way, because I needed some assistance, and I just gave up on hope, like we talked. And so I tell people, hope comes in the form of a letter and a dog for me at that time. And you know, they said in the letter, pretty much it said, hey James, we've called you at home, no answer. We've sent emails, no answer. We think we have a canine that can help you. And so I tell people, during that time of my life, hope came in a letter and a dog. So
man, well, you know, you kind of got a humorous part of that too. You're really a loser. You tried to kill yourself 3 times and you couldn't do it.
and I tell people the first day I took 48 Sudafeds, 2 packs of Sudafed, and on the package it says don't operate heavy machinery or drive a vehicle because it causes drowsiness. So I said all I got was a stinking headache the whole night. That's all I got. Didn't even fall asleep. The next day I took a pack of Benadryl, and I slept.
Wow.
But all I did was miss the Super Bowl where the Giants beat the undefeated going on Patriots that day. I woke up and here it is, hearing that the Giants won and there was no perfect season. Then the next day is when I'm in my van taking carbon monoxide in, and in my van in my garage closed off, and then I remember passing out finally, and then I wake up and paramedics are there. God had sent someone to my front door looking for me, and if they wouldn't have found me, it would have been over with.
Well, you know, James, thank the Lord that you were unsuccessful, and again, those events, no such thing as coincidence. somebody checked on you.
So
And wow.
it definitely woke me up that what's the Bible verse that God has a plan for us, and
Yep.
definitely those 3 days proved to me there's still a plan.
Boy, isn't it a challenge? I face it every day. Let go and let God. I mean, golly, but it's hard because,
Oh yeah.
we're imperfect sinners, and we just think, it's like when I give it to him, and then I, maybe have some successes, a new book or whatever. Okay, God, I got it now, big guy. Let me. And then the next day, my face is back in the dirt. And His grace and His mercy for you and I and a lot of people. And by the way, since His grace and mercy is always available, why shouldn't we give that to others? I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah.
what I don't understand about today's racial situation. In my book, God doesn't make junk. And James, what I've found out, I kind of become an amateur psychologist because, I've worked with over 10,000 leaders since 1994 and leader development, executive coaching. But here's something I've learned, and it applies to me too. Most often, what people think, say, or do to or about you rarely has anything to do with you. It's how they feel about themselves. Isn't that right?
I agree
That's
with that.
called. I mean, if I don't love me, how can I love you? If I'm not at peace, how can I have a peaceful relationship? And with all this craziness going on, this hatred, and you take the word unity, and it take the letters U and I. That's unity. And God doesn't make junk. And passionate hearts committed to a shared vision, i.e., unity, can accomplish the impossible. And when people say, and I'm a huge fan of Black Lives Matter. Believe me, I competed in sports at Texas. I was a captain. I was All-American. You know the story. We had one African American on my team, one black man on my team, lived by himself in the athletic dorms, Carl Johnson, and he was killed tragically in a car crash a year after he graduated. But you've heard this story. We were at the Kansas Relays in 1971, getting ready to run the prelims of the sprint medley relay. We weren't even supposed to make the finals, by the way. And I'm the captain, right? I'm the leader like you were. And my other two teammates were already in the van, Ed and Dave, and getting ready to go to the track to run the prelims. And Carl and I were the last two out of the restaurant that morning having breakfast. And I noticed, again, I'm the captain. And back then, James, like you, when you were young, was all about winning. All about winning. And so I'm leaving the restaurant, and I noticed Carl hadn't eaten. And I'm thinking, if we continue to progress, prelims, quarters, semis, and the finals, and if Carl doesn't eat, he's not going to have enough energy. He's going to let the team down. And James, I'll never forget that conversation. It was 1971. And I asked him, I said, Carl, why didn't you eat? And Carl had a very meek voice. He said, oh, Byrd, I don't eat when we travel. Only time I eat's back in the athletic dining hall in Austin, because the food's free. And I still didn't get it, James, because university gave us traveling money. Well, and this will get you. I get goosebumps getting ready to tell you this.
This is my favorite part of the story.
And I asked him, I said, well, Carl, what do you do with the money university gives you? He said, oh, Byrd, I send that home to my mom and my dad so my brothers and sisters can eat. At the age of, what was he, 21, 20, he had a purpose greater than self. It was to get a college degree against all odds to help his family get out of abject poverty. And you can see what got him through all of the racism he had to endure, refused to eat at restaurants. And so I just, I call it the PhD of life, preserve human dignity. And Carl's listening to us. I believe in the Holy Spirit. That's spiritual energy, and he's listening to us. And again, we started a scholarship in his honor that goes to a deserving high school track and field athlete from his high school And they write a letter about perseverance. And then thanks to generous donors, we're able to give that person a nice sum of money to help them go to college. Again, it's called the Carl R. Johnson Spirit Award, Keeping Hope Alive.
There you go. That's awesome. So now, not to take away from Carl, but how did y'all do in the race that day?
We not only we won the race, we had the fastest time in the world, and we were all Americans. And again, we weren't expected to get out of the prelims. That's again, passionate hearts committed to a shared vision can accomplish the impossible. And James, you know this. We've talked sports. We will always beat me. And if you think you're more important than somebody else, boy, you're. And again, I believe this quote: winning is not everything. If all you focus on winning, i.e. trophies, medals, all that stuff, you won't. Again, everything, all these medals and trophies that I'd won, they burned in that moving van fire. And I used to worship those pieces of metal.
Oh, yes.
And I used to treat perfect strangers better than I did my wife, James. That's why I say PhD, preserve human dignity.
That's powerful. And, I'm sure there's other people that have been in that same situation that they would treat strangers better than their own family. I'm sure.
Well, I told you this story. Back, it was 1985, and I wasn't a recovering perfectionist. I was a full-fledged flaming perfectionist. Our children were young. Then I'd come home from work, and I'd had a bad day at work, and I walked into the living room and saw my wife. She told me she had made a mistake. James, if I told you what the mistake was, I make worse mistakes every day. But my wife was a prisoner of perfection. And I let the negative words come out. I never cussed my wife, but I'm probably made her feel about that tall. And my wife's a strong lady. You've met her, beautiful lady. And James, my wife looked at me, a tear rolled down her cheek. And she looked at me and she asked me one question. And the question was, Byrd, is there anything about me that you like? Boy, and I still get goosebumps. And that's when that PhD of life came to me: preserve human dignity.
Yes.
Man, our words can lift people up or cause them to have nightmares.
Yeah, you definitely destroy someone. That's for sure. What's the old saying about the tongue being mightier than a sword?
Oh, yeah.
Tongue can cut you deeper.
Yeah, my mother used to say, Bubba, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in proportion.
There you go. That's right. That's right. So, yeah, I've met your wife. You're a beautiful woman, beautiful heart. I mean, you've definitely done well above your means.
Oh, I outkicked my coverage like a lot of men that are watching or listening to this.
There you go. So, beautiful. I think I met your daughter once. You and I met somewhere, and so beautiful family and everything. So I'm glad that God had you learn early in life to get you where you're at today, and that you're still learning. How many people get so far and then they quit learning, and then they'll regress back to their situation.
Yeah, you know what Ray Kroc, McDonald's fame, you know what he said, which is a great truth. You're either green and growing or ripe and rotting. And as I get older, I just realize what I don't know. And I used to when I was younger, man. I thought I knew everything. I didn't know the questions, much less the answers.
Yes. All right, Byrd, this has been awesome, man. Let's before we go any further, tell people how they can get a hold of you if maybe someone wants a speaker or just maybe to call, say hello, maybe to ask for some wisdom. Maybe if you can tell us how we can get a hold of you.
Sure. The best email to get a hold of me is byrd@byrdbaggett.com. That's byrd@byrdbaggett.com. And again, you put up my website there, and thank you, James. That's that website's, it's easy. It's byrdbaggett.com. And our leadership development company is called True Growth Leadership, so that's easy. But byrd@byrdbaggett.com or www.byrdbaggett.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram. And if you want to reach out and talk, just shoot me an email, folks. I'm serious. I'll get in touch with you, and I'm here for you. So, and again, thank you for showing that site. We introduced, again, God's my partner, again, because I'm known for acronyms and original quotes. Introduced a line of custom T-shirts, and there's the acronym for life. Live it fully every day. It's not a dress rehearsal, is it? In that, you go to our website and you click on that icon, and you can go to the store. And thank you, James, for putting that up. If you're interested in buying a shirt, at checkout, just use that discount code DP1968, and you'll get a 10% discount. So enough about me and about business.
There we go. So people, if go to Byrd's, just to Google Byrd Baggett, and you'll get to his website, and click on the T-shirt icon. And if you wanted to get a discount buying T-shirts, it's DP1968. And also you can go check out his other products with his books. So
thank you, James.
Thank you, Byrd. Now, Byrd, if we're going to go ahead and get ready to shut her down here. So if you can leave us with some powerful, motivational, inspirational suggestion, advice, something that can help someone that's struggling, get them through today. I mean, this doesn't have to, your advice here doesn't have to get them through the whole year, even though it might do it. They may nail right into that, and they may hold on to that for forever. But let's get them through today. Let them know that tomorrow it's going to be a better day. So if you give us a piece of information here.
Oh, James, thank you. I just share what's worked for me, okay? Because I don't understand what a lot of people are going through out there. A lot of people, again, today's challenge is one thing that's worked for me and still works for me. When I get up every morning, I count 5 blessings in my life. Because, if you don't, our mind, if we don't discipline ourselves to count our blessings, we're going to start worrying. So count 5 blessings, good things, before you earn the right to one worry. And do that when you get up, and do that before you go to bed. That has helped me a lot. And surround yourself with the precious few who believe in you. Show me your friends, I'm going to show you your future. Surround yourself with dream makers, not dream killers. And, most men don't even have one friend. I don't like, that's a statistic that's true. I have a lot of acquaintances that, friends, true friends love you for who you are. Acquaintances like you for what you have or what you can do for them. Seek out true friends. Don't expect them to come to you, but people that have the same core values, integrity and humility. So, and that'll help keep hope alive. I'm on a part of a men's personal board of directors. There are 6 of us total. And we've been together for, over 8 years. And we have a 1-hour phone call, James, every month. And we have an annual retreat. And they're all successful, but that doesn't have anything. We don't talk about successes. We talk about challenges and help each other. And again, I said it earlier, but focus on looking at life through the windshield, not the rear view mirror. And the last thing I've got to share, this was shared with me years ago by a recovering alcoholic, because we all have addictions defined as that which kidnaps our attention. And he shared these words, and I want to close with these words. Work hard, do your best, live the truth, trust yourself, have some fun, and you'll have no regrets.
There we go.
And lastly, don't quit before the blessings.
Definitely don't quit. Yes, before the blessings. And let's go ahead and throw the other one in. Don't stop somebody else from receiving their blessing. So I had to learn that.
Amen. Amen.
Byrd, thank you for being here. You've been awesome. Hearing your stories. Again, with the shotgun in your mouth, just think if you would have just took that extra second and finished it off. Thankfully, God put that in your heart to not do that. And so awesome for being here. And then so much of you have shared for all of us positive, something to hold on to. And, I tell people, hopefully 100 years from now, whatever this be called, maybe not a podcast, whatever it's going to be, that someone's going to be able to, because this stuff's going to lay around for years and years. So hopefully somebody will find and get the piece of information then. All right. Thank you, Byrd. Appreciate it.
Thank you, James.
Everybody
God bless.
Thank you, sir. If anybody else, if I can help y'all, you can go to my website at professorofperseverance.com. And I have a resource page where you get some articles I've gotten on overcoming adversity, tips, other checklists. And from there, so go ahead and you go to professorofperseverance.com. And finish it off here, John Bentley. Thank you for being here, blessing us today. And from
Thanks,
there,
John.
Thank you. Everybody else, do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your paralysis. Click in.